the overwhelming majority of police officers, they are doing a really tough job, and they're doing it well, and they're doing it professionally. What we also know is that there's still biases in our society, that in split-second situations where people are having to make quick decisions, that studies have shown African-American males are seen as more threatening. A lot of the way to solve this is to improve training so people can be aware of their biases ahead of time.
All right, well, just as things are calming down, the Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke, who says the president would talk like that because it kind of keeps stirring up the pot. You don't like that. What is he saying wrong that you didn't like, Sheriff?
Well, the convoluted message. Why can't he just stop when he says the overwhelming majority of law enforcement officers go out and do a great job, period, the end. And then he goes and makes that statement about police officers have problems or target people who don't look like them. And that's a myth. He said there are studies. There are no studies that suggest that. This is not a training issue. We don't train law enforcement officers to racially profile. We don't train law enforcement officers to target people. What we train officers to do is target behavior. Are there biases in society? Everybody has biases. I'm biased against criminals and criminal behavior. But that doesn't mean that I'm going out every day on the street like law enforcement officers all across the country and engaging in this nefarious conduct to target black males just because they're black. He might believe that, but I don't.
Now, do you think he's trying to have it both ways, though, Sheriff? By that, I mean, like, he's trying to say, look, this problem exists. I don't think it's the case with most police, but that doesn't solve it for anyone. You're offending both groups in that sense.
Sure, he's trying to split the baby here, and really he shouldn't be taking any sides. These are local issues, and he should just stick with that. Those two things are mutually exclusive, because if a law enforcement officer is racist and extremely biased, I don't care how good they are, they don't belong in the profession. So he can't have it both ways, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to recover from his initial statements where he didn't give law enforcement officers any credit at all, and that's why I said I just wish he would stop himself when he says, extols the virtues of law enforcement officers, so we can get beyond this.
All right, and we do know the Justice Department is not likely now to file any civil rights case against Darren Wilson. So I'm wondering whether the original zeal on his part to say that locals screwed up, or that the local grand jury screwed up, at least now they've been exonerated.
Without a doubt. I don't care how you look at this. The facts are the facts for everybody. The facts were the same with the grand jury in Ferguson as they were for the Justice Department and the FBI, who came in early to start their investigation. And I don't care how you slice this situation that happened between Mike Brown and Officer Darren Wilson, a very unfortunate incident. But the facts are that Officer Wilson justifiably and reasonably defended his life when he came under attack from Mike Brown, and the grand jury did get it right. The fact that the Justice Department stepped in, that's part of the process. I respect that, but I'm glad they made quick work of this, because Officer Wilson, anyway, has been exonerated. Why do you think they did that,
though, Sheriff? I mean, I know they're working, justice is blind, we're told. There was a great push by the Attorney General, the President himself, to re-examine this. So presumably Justice felt it was going nowhere, or did they just not want to stir up a hornet's nest?
To a piece. That's why Eric Holder made some of the statements he did when he went to Ferguson. He's the one that entered this term racial profiling. He said, we're going to end racial profiling once and for all in this country, when that had nothing to do with the situation at all. So what he did, and I think it's cruel when you do that to people, is he set people up with this false sense that the federal government was going to do the right thing and make this thing right, when the facts were that Officer Wilson acted reasonably and justifiably under the rule of law. When you use the rule of law standard, you can come to no other conclusion than what the Ferguson grand jury did and what the Justice Department is about to recommend to the Attorney General. And I hope he makes quick work of just signing off on it. Let's get this chapter behind us and move forward.
Sheriff, while I have you here, we're hearing that Michael Brown's parents are considering a separate suit against Darren Wilson. Your thoughts?
That's part of the process. There's civil action that can be taken. I believe in the process. Justice prevailed in this situation, okay, with the exoneration of Officer Wilson. Due process is playing itself out. That is another avenue for the Brown family, and they should be able to pursue it. But at some point, the President of the United States and Attorney General Eric Holder should bow out of this, not have anything else to say about it, and let Ferguson, Missouri, and the rest of the United States move on.
Sheriff, you know what I always say? Whether people agree or disagree, I always know where you're coming from. You always answer a question. And it befuddles me sometimes. It's because I don't know where to go. Sheriff, thank you very, very much. And I do appreciate it.